Why, hello, gents and gentle ladies. I am your host, Jordan Bowens, and you guys know I'm not going to hold you up, but today we're going to be taking a look at Candace Owens versus Piers Morgan in a heated debate on Christ is King. Now, as you guys know, Candace Owens has just came back into the sector. Piers Morgan, he's kind of a controversial newscaster, you could say news reporter. But with Candace Owens kind of coming back into the game, maybe she'll be able to shake things up. I think it may be her second week on. There's something she may have 3 episodes of her show, but I'm not going to hold you guys up. Shout out to whoever just popped in. And yeah, let's get this going. Let's see what they're talking about.
Why did you leave the Daily Wire?
Well, unfortunately, I can't talk about the specific reasons that I left the Daily Wire, but what I can do is respond to whatever reasons were given to the public. And obviously, no sooner did we agree to leave than Andrew Klavan of the Daily Wire did an entire episode stating that the reasons that I was leaving was because I was anti-Semitic and I was engaging in a type of anti-Semitism that was hard to pin down. And that is why in my first episode of launching my independent podcast, I hit back pretty hard at him because, I think it's pretty despicable, first and foremost, as a colleague who I had a great relationship with, to have engaged in that, knowing that I was not at liberty to say anything. I thought it was a very underhanded, disgusting tactic, and I responded in force.
I want to play.
Yeah, I am going to have to check into not only episode 1, but episode 2 of her show. I mean, from what I kind of gathered, I personally thought it was a whole type of thing with her and Ben Shapiro. And essentially, they felt differently about the way that they were handling, Palestine. And because of that, I felt like he kind of, gave her that boot. But yeah, it's really interesting to hear like her perspective on it. And her reasons, because you guys already know there's so much in the background that we don't know.
What Ben Shapiro told me when I asked him about this on Uncensored. One of the
Here we go.
consequences of this war has been a lot of very high passions on both sides, a lot of angry disagreements. You and your company have been at the centre of a very high-profile one at the moment with Candace Owens, who's now left Daily Wire. Was she fired, or did she leave of her own volition?
I'm not going to speak to this topic, Piers.
At all?
At all. The only thing I will say is what I've said all along with regard to Candace or with regard to any of our other hosts. I am not in hiring and firing position with the Daily Wire. I'm a co-founder of the Daily Wire. I'm a co-owner of the Daily Wire. I'm not actually in management. And as far as the free speech situation,
hey, that's not exactly a scapegoat. Think about it. If you're a co-founder or something, you may not be on the hiring or the firing committee. You may not be HR. You may not be the person who really does determinations. But that doesn't mean that your word doesn't carry a lot of power. Certain people, they don't do the firing. They just put the word in somebody's ear and boom, they're out.
What I will say is that no company has the obligation to literally pay anyone. The Daily Wire is a publisher. It is not a platform.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned as we attempt to commune with the devil.
Silence right there.
Do you agree with that, Candace?
Agree with which part?
Well, okay, any of it.
Well, I think that it's interesting, and I'd love to sit down with and debate Ben Shapiro on a number of topics, particularly cancel culture.
I'd love
because
that
I know
too.
that he's made some comments
That's what we
in the
need.
past that he believes that publishers, platforms should allow people to have different ideas. And so those particular comments to me sound in contrast to what he has said in the past, but I can't speak on behalf of him, obviously. I personally believe that media companies are healthier when you allow people to have different opinions.
I agree.
And allow people to debate those opinions. Personally, I love to see a debate between two people, and so I can only tell you what my perspective is and can't really speak for him.
I mean, he made the point that...
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with that too. Like, you already know, like, if you're a Republican, who do you need to debate against? You got to debate against a Democrat. You know, a conservative is always going to need the liberal, you know, to get those ideas floating out there. If everyone feels the same type of way, then what's even the need for discourse? What's even the need for us hopping here and having these debates? Shout out to everybody who's popping in, you know, and everything like that. So I get exactly what she's saying. And it does kind of, Ben Shapiro does kind of, you know, strike me as a guy who could be like, hey, you know, if you disagree with me, that's fine. But if you take it further than I would like, then now I got a problem with you. And now we're going to censor you. You know, I think if people have problems, you know, intellectually with each other, handle it intellectually. Meet head to head. No censorship. No censorship. Now, if it comes to like some Nick Fuentes, you know, somewhere they're just coming out and they're just spilling out just pure hatred. I mean, that would be the case. But I don't feel like this was really the case between the Daily Wire and Ben Shapiro and, you know, Candance Owens. Let's continue. I don't want to hold you guys up.
At the end there, that any company, any private company, when it comes to free speech, is not compelled to pay people.
Of course not.
To work for them. I mean, would you accept that as a principle?
Of course.
Well, what I would say again is that it just kind of runs into what is wrong. I guess the question you could ask is, what is wrong if CNN fires somebody for having a different opinion? What then is wrong if Fox News fires somebody for having a different opinion? Your answer would have to be that it's not wrong and that companies are at will to curate whatever belief system that they want and to not allow free speech. So, you know.
Out of interest.
Take notes, Piers Morgan is one of those people who speaks out of the status quo all the time. If we were going by 100% this type of system, Piers Morgan would not be he would not be able to even have this conversation with Candance.
Interest, is it true that you signed an NDA? That's why you can't really talk about this in detail.
I cannot speak in detail about any of that stuff.
You can't even confirm whether you've had an NDA.
I am not free to speak about any topic pertaining to contracts signed or not signed. And so.
You see, this is where it gets interesting for me, because you referenced Andrew Klavan from the Daily Wire. I want to play a part of what he said, and then I'll come back to you.
Yeah.
The Daily Wire parted ways with Candance Owens, and part of it was things that she was saying that we felt were strongly anti-Semitic. And she was doing it in such a way that it was kind of hard to pin down, so I was trying to show where these things happen.
So
yeah, man, Candance is trying to go against the Dave Shapiro Daily Wire regime. It's not going too hot for her right now, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like she might have been cooking something up. She done taken a lot of time off before her comeback. Her comeback episode 1, I already know. Last time I checked, it was at like 800. It was easily hitting a mill, and this is without the Daily Wire. So I don't know. The Candance comeback might be coming on strong. You said she's getting hit with that hard reality. I just think she doesn't have people pushing her anymore. You know, she doesn't have the backing of the Daily Wire. I feel like we haven't gotten to see Candance Owens succeed or fail yet. She just came back last week, and she up probably by 1.7 mil views, 1.5 million at least or something on her last 2 or 3 episodes. And this is without the Daily Wire. Now, do I think Candance Owens is like making some crazy comeback or anything like that? Or do I think anybody really missed her like that? No, not really. So I don't know if this comeback gonna really work out well for her. But I mean, I'd say if you gotta no longer be on payroll, you come back and your first vid gets a mil. I mean, that's kind of hot. And you got to consider Candance Owens is also demonetized on YouTube. Demonetized channels getting 1 million views on YouTube is hard because they're not pushing any of it. So, I mean, I wouldn't say that she's up or anything like that, but I definitely say that she's not down bad for sure, or not even down bad. It may not even be an L, you know?
I'm bemused because I've been involved in a lot of contracts in my time. I've been an employer, I've been an employee, and so on. I don't understand why somebody from the Daily Wire can be so explicit about the reasons you left, and yet you are not able to be as explicit to defend yourself or to counter what they're saying?
Amen, Piers. Amen. I think that is probably a question that was on a lot of people's minds. And
We want answers.
What can I say other than what was it that Kanye was saying about contracts? And, I think it is, even if you believe that it is valid for that to happen, I think it is immoral to allow someone to attack someone and to not allow them to defend their name. And so for me, Andrew actually rose to the level of defamation when he started claiming that I had actually said things that I had never said. I mean, he flagrantly lies, and I showed that on my platform when he pretended that I did an episode suggesting that Adolf Hitler burning books was a good thing. I wasn't even speaking about Adolf Hitler. It's a nonsense to think.
Upon this ad, I would want to say this does bring on that dynamic about NDAs. Hey, Vaughn, if you're in here, yeah, she's raking in numbers, bro. Yeah. So with the NDAs, I don't know. So you guys can kind of let me know. Is there a hierarchy to this? Because I see how that could get unfair. Like, let's say there's a P. Diddy Cassie situation, and Cassie signed an NDA. Is Cassie not allowed to speak on the hotel situation? But Diddy, since he had her signed an NDA, he can speak on it. So let's say they hop on the news. You know what I'm saying? They hop on the news. Maybe Diddy would be able to speak on the situation at the hotel, whereas Cassie would be compelled to abide by that NDA. You know what I'm saying? Because think about it. When celebrities have, people come through and things like that, it's not like the celebrity signs an NDA both with them and it's a blood bond and they connect together. It's normally like, hey, you're telling me that you're not going to say anything about what I'm doing and what I got going on. I mean, it's just something to think about, food for thought.
Platform, and it's a trick also. It's meant to make people feel emotional, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that she's supporting Adolf Hitler. And I thought it was nasty business. I thought it was extremely nasty business. And, for me, Piers, it's important for me to state.
By the way, Vaughn, since you said that, I gotta check the numbers real quick and see if the numbers are numbering. Because I could be wrong. I just figured it won't take long to check that at all. Let's see. Is it? No, it's not videos. That would be live. Now, where's the first episode? Where's the first episode of the Candance show? Oh, she's dropping. Okay, here we go. All right, so we got this is what we're watching right now. Okay, here we go. So 1.8 mil views on the first episode. It's going down a little bit. NDA have statute of limitations on the signee. That's what I can't say. Yeah, dude. That's a sticky game. That's a sticky, ugly game, bro. But yeah, we're seeing. Yeah, she's raking. She's doing numbers. Obviously, she's gonna have some fall off because, it's like you just came back. But yeah, she's good. She's good. 500K. So yeah, she's straight. She don't need the Daily Wire like that.
My name means a lot to me. My grandfather grew up on a sharecropping farm, one of 12 children, in the segregated South, Robert Owens Sr. And for him to have worked the way that he worked and to have instilled the Christian values in me that he instilled in me growing up, the idea that I would allow someone to so flagrantly throw dirt on his name, it was never going to fly.
Did you ever say or do anything which to a Jewish ear could be construed as anti-Semitic?
I could believe that.
Well, let's be clear about all of these topics, whether we're talking about racism, sexism, anti-Semitism. Everything can be construed to an ear.
Break it down. Let's break it down.
Subjective ear.
Let's see how she really feels. Is she crazy or not?
I mean, I could say, hey, Piers, you even asking me questions. And to me, it feels racist, right? A feeling and a fact are two different things. So what someone construes something is meaningless. Factually speaking, I have never said anything that is anti-Semitic. And had I have said something that was anti-Semitic, Andrew Klavan would have simply showed the clip.
Right. A lot of attention has been focused on you constantly referencing Christ is King. Many people believing that although those words,
shout out our Lord and Savior,
if you're a Christian, as you are, would not be offensive, that to Jewish people when they're being whipped up on social media, as they were at the time, by people who are genuine white supremacists and pretty brazen anti-Semites, that being smart as you are, you would have known that to deliberately use that phrase repeatedly in that time, in that climate, was a deliberate act of provocation to people like Ben Shapiro, who obviously are extremely high-profile Jewish people.
I think that's a good one, because that's kind of something that I kind of had with Candance too. Like, you know, she does the little, she's like a Jesse Lee Peterson. She do all the little stuff. You know, she's smart. Normally, I would say a lot of the time she's right, but the way she goes about it is, how can I piss people off the most so they'll listen? Like Jesse Lee Peterson, you know? So I think that's a really good thing he's saying. He's saying, yeah, I get that what you're saying may be factually right, but you knew that this was not the time to use this phrase with these people, and you knew it would look crazy. Let's see what she says.
Do you accept
I'm
that?
sorry, which time frame are you talking about when you say at that time?
Well, since the start
Don't
of
dodge,
the
Candance.
Israel-Hamas war.
Yeah, no. So that phrase, if you're talking about when it began to be a scandal, because I think everyone was quite confused when there was suddenly this narrative that it could be construed as anti-Semitic, which is why it required so much explaining by people of when it became anti-Semitic. I posted a standalone Bible verse, this is just a pure fact, calling for peace. And at the end of the verse, I ended it and said, "Christ is King," last November. Andrew Klavan references that. The reason why this even became a scandal is because of Andrew Klavan. Andrew Klavan did an episode called "Because Christ is Really King," and then he accused me wrongly of spitting that phrase at a Jew. That simply never happened, as I showed in my first episode back. It was, we just made that up out of thin air. I posted a standalone Bible verse, and I wrote at the end of it, "Christ is King," and then a Jew responded to me telling me to quit my job. So what happens sometimes is then time passes and people try to rewrite history, but we're not going to do revisionist history here. I tweeted "Christ is King" appropriately following a Bible verse when I was 38 weeks pregnant. And I stand by that proverb, and I stand by declaring Christ to be King,
stepping on
as I have
business.
done many times
Okay,
in
so
the
two
past,
things
because
about
it's
that.
basic Christian doctrine.
Two things about that. Why would you tweet that particular passage from the Bible, ending "Christ is King," on 14th of November 2023? What was your motivation?
Yeah, happy to answer that question. So if people remember what was happening at that time, Ben Shapiro was caught on a tape calling me faux sophisticated and some other stuff, you know, a disgrace, I think was the term. And again, I was 38 weeks pregnant, about to give birth, and my husband just told me, every media person in the world is contacting you globally, asking you to give a comment, to say something. It's obviously a very traumatizing thing to go through in the moment when you're that pregnant, and suddenly you're like, I just don't want to deal with this drama. I don't mean like trauma in the very leftist, I feel traumatized by this, but just, it's a lot happening.
All right, Candance, I'm sorry, but I'm not giving you, I can't give you slack for being pregnant. I gotta keep it fair all around on the board. Vaughn, if you're still in this, you know how we work around here. I gotta keep it clear. I gotta assume that you're the intelligent woman that you've been this whole time. So I'm assuming that every single move that you make is calculated, pregnant or not. I'm sorry. I'm holding you to that standard because I done seen you hold other people to the same standard. Let's continue.
Leading up to birth, and my husband told me to read the Bible. He said, just read the Bible. You don't have to answer these media members. You don't have to give a comment. You don't have to say anything. These things are all fickle. It doesn't matter.
But just to be clear on the chronology,
gotta hold her to the standard.
Saying what he said, we said, I think
my reflection now is I think she knew what she was doing with that. I think she knew what she was doing with that. Do I think she believes it? Yes. But I do think she knew what she was doing with that. Right? Yeah. I think she believes it though. So, I mean, and she did stand on it. So I don't really have too much of a problem with it. But do I think she's ignorant and she was just pregnant and she didn't really know what she was like? You know what I mean? And I was, I was just pregnant, so I was just like, you know what, guys, Christ is King. Like, I think she knew exactly that quote would push a little feathers, possibly get the media going a little bit more. Maybe it would, punch Shapiro a little harder, I think she knows that.
I think her behaviour during this has been disgraceful, without a doubt. I think her faux
that
sophistication.
came first.
Yeah, that came out on 15th of November 2023, but you had posted what you posted on the 14th of November.
That's not correct. You have your timeline wrong. It was the video came first.
So you were responding directly to the video.
No, I'm trying to finish the story, but you just have just so you know, chronologically, you have it wrong. His insult came first. I think it was on the 12th. The insult came.
Were you made aware of the insult because and then did it become
I found out
public?
on Twitter with everybody else. It was just trending, and so just to go back into it, my husband told me to read the Bible and to realize that these things are fickle and that all of these journalists that were asking me to respond to them are doing it because all they want is clicks and money, and they want they want to use you for a moment that's not going to matter in the scheme of things in your life. And so I wanted to respond to all of these media members by saying that I'm calling for peace. Christ is king of my heart. I don't need this right now. So that was it.
When you appeared on Tucker Carlson on the 16th of November, you said, I will say I'm not going to respond with the same ad hominem attack. But you also told him that day that was when you first saw the video.
I didn't tell him I first saw the video on.
Ooh. Now, obviously, I can't fact check this, but that would not be a good look for her. I mean, not really that bad of a look for her, but, obviously it would just be a contradiction to what she said.
Tucker Carlson. I don't understand your question. What I told Tucker I saw the video on Tucker Carlson?
No, that you had seen the video for the first time that morning.
That I saw the video trending on Twitter, not the morning of Tucker's interview. Sorry, I don't know.
I'm just trying to work out the exact correct chronology.
Yeah, I can help you.
Yeah. So you saw the video on Twitter, and then
on Twitter, yes.
Yeah. And then you put out the passage from the Bible as a reaction.
I mean, that makes more sense. I mean, let's keep it
Yes, like I said, 20.
Y'all really think Candance Owens about to get hit with a bunch of stuff on Twitter and everything like that, and she not gonna see it till a few days later or weeks, whenever this interview was? I mean, come on. You already know if hundreds a night, maybe just thousands of people are flaming you on social media. I mean, so I'm not really. I think Piers is kind of tweaking there because there's no way there's no way she wouldn't have seen it.
Maybe it was 24 hours later after that, when everyone was contacting me for comment, I gave the media no comment. So if you look on all the articles, there was no comment given to me at that time about anything because I decided that peace was the best strategy forward. Tucker was booked that day, but he had booked me 6 weeks in advance. That was just his luck that whole incident took place.
Right.
They knew I was going on his show. He booked way out in advance. So it just happened to be his luck or misfortune, whichever way you look at it, that was going on at the same time.
Wow.
So in the build-up to this, you'd already made it clear that you'd said on Twitter on November the 3rd, no government anywhere has a right to commit a genocide ever. There is no justification for a genocide. I can't believe this even needs to be said or is even considered the least bit controversial to state. You didn't say what you were talking about in that tweet, but it was widely assumed to be Gaza and what Israel was doing in Gaza. Is that correct? Were you talking about Israel there?
No, actually, when I wrote that tweet, if you look right before that tweet, I had retweeted and liked something from a journalist named Yashar Ali. He had shared a clip of a Congressman, Brian Mast, who got up on a platform and said that there's no such thing.
Wait, hold on, boys. We got this thing called independent thought here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at genocide. We're going to take a look at the definition of genocide and see if there ever is a context that we can think of as to where genocide through government would make sense. Because let's keep it real. Does it really matter if Candance was talking about specifically Gaza or not? Or does it matter if what she said, the basis of what she says, you know what I'm saying, is something that we could all go along with, for every country? So it's the deliberate deletion of a large number of people from a particular nation or ethnic group with the aim of destroying that nation or group. No context behind there. I'm not seeing any context. Not that the group is doing anything, just that you're just taking them out simply for being a part of that group. I think over here we're gonna have to say no to genocide. I mean, it's common sense, but hey, I just like to break it down, because Piers is kind of getting political with it, but really that's what matters, I would think. That's where the conversation should be.
In life, that is despicable, genocidal language, and I I'm paraphrasing here, but Yashar Ali said, and he's pro-Israel, by the way, if I'm judging by what he puts online, he said, can we all just admit that this language is unacceptable? And I tweeted that no government in the world, and I was actually commenting on America, genocide is always wrong. And so, by the way, even if I was talking about Israel or I was talking about Palestine, that statement should hold.
No, I agree.
There is
I agree,
no
but just
justification
no,
ever in the
but
world
for the
for
record,
genocide. So
I agree.
I was very surprised to see that tweet go viral and people so angry about it.
Eyes up here.
The random belt click.
Let me tell you about it.
I was actually overseas at the moment. I was in the UK. And so it seemed very strange to me that people would have a problem with it no matter what side you're on. But in that particular moment, I was talking about Brian Mast, and on my show, my very next show, I clarified that.
And do you think, for the record, that what
I have
Israel's
to
been
get
doing
YouTube no
constitutes
ads. I just
genocide?
thought about that.
Well, what I've been having trouble is all of the people that are pro-Israel and say it's not a genocide won't tell me what is a genocide. What percentage of a population has to be killed before we can use the word genocide? It's a funny little thing. They won't tell you. They won't tell you what constitutes genocide. So I would like a clear understanding of how many Palestinians have to die before we are allowed to term it a genocide. All of the experts can't agree on what a genocide actually is, but they love to float around the word on virtually every other issue. You know, I had Rabbi Barclay on my show, on one of my last shows when I was on the Daily Wire, and I asked him that question pointedly: what is genocide? Let us know, experts, what percentage of the population of Palestinians has to be killed before we are allowed to say that it's genocide. What I can tell you is I am completely uncomfortable and utterly against the amount of Palestinian innocent lives that have been lost in this conflict, particularly children. And any person who is fearful of stating that the death of innocent children has been utterly unacceptable is a coward.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I completely agree, but do you personally think it constitutes genocide, which is the deliberate...
What I'm saying to you is I
can tell you what
have pursued on my show, what is the number?
No, I understand.
What is the official number? That's it. I mean, somebody tell me and I'll give you an answer.
Well, I don't think there is a specific...
Try it when you have...
Well, it's not about a number.
People on both sides of the debate on.
Yeah, but it's not...
No. What do you mean it's not a number?
Here's my answer.
And do they give you an answer?
Well, no, because here's the point. It's not about specific numbers. It's about an intent.
But it has to be.
Well, no, it's not. It's about an intent to eradicate.
That's not true, Piers, because in America they say that Native Americans, it was a genocide committed by white men. This is what they say, right?
No, but I'm talking about what the definition of a genocide is.
But what I'm telling you is that would be incorrect, because the majority of Native Americans died from smallpox. It was accidental. Some 90% of the Native Americans that lived here died from smallpox, and it's considered a genocide.
No, I understand. I'm telling you what the definition of genocide is, which is not about a specific number.
We just
in any
looked at it.
circumstance. It's about an intent to target and eradicate a whole people based on their ethnicity.
I'm disputing that by telling you that they legally say within America that Native Americans, a genocide was committed against Native Americans. Factually speaking, 90% of them, 90 to 93% of them died from smallpox. So it was actually an epidemic, right? So is the definition shifting? Because it is my understanding from Rabbi Barclay that the definition of anti-Semitism shifts. So maybe the definition of genocide has shifted, but genocide.
Well, let me read you the exact.
School,
let me read you the exact wording and see whether you think it applies to.
Let
me read you the exact. Definition of genocide from the Oxford English Dictionary: the deliberate killing of a large number of people from a particular nation or ethnic group with the aim of destroying that nation or group. So by that definition, do you believe that is what's happening to the Palestinian people and it's being perpetrated by Israel?
Well, I would say is that Israel has proven in the past that they can be very specific when they want to get somebody out, whether that's a hostage or any other certain military operation. And what I am seeing happening, forgetting the specific language of a genocide, is something that I'm using my platform to speak out against, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to me what the media calls me. I've had every headline. I do not believe that they are being careful in what they are doing. I think it has been it seems to me that the destruction of the hospitals and the schools and of the UN buildings. Would you say, Piers, that you believe that's unintentional?
I do not believe Israel's waging genocide. I think that...
You believe, but I'm asking you, do you believe that the targeting, room to room in the hospitals
Well, no,
is
I'll be
intentional?
clear with you. I can answer the question. I have said repeatedly in the last few weeks and months that I think the proportionality of Israel's response is now unacceptable. And particularly since they decided to go into Rafah, a refugee camp that they set up, to then target Hamas in the middle of a refugee camp, where you're bound to kill so many innocent civilians in the process, I think is unacceptable. But I'm just curious, given that you tweeted about genocide and no government ever has a right to do it, whether by your calculation from that definition, what Israel is doing is deliberately killing a large number of people from a particular nation or ethnic group with the aim of destroying that nation or group.
Yeah, well, what I can say to you, again, because these definitions shift, I don't think we need to focus on the word, because I'm telling you what I believe. And my belief is that they are not being careful whatsoever. My belief is that there has been too much loss of Palestinian life.
But that's different to genocide, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but okay, that's fine. We don't need to. That's what I'm saying. I don't know why you're like obsessing over this one word. It doesn't matter.
Well, because you tweeted about genocide.
Just like you told me.
I'm only trying to clear up.
The tweet is about Brian Mast. So you're harping on this issue. There's a lot more topics we should talk about. I'm being very clear.
So I think, let me know if you guys feel different. This almost, to me, is a conversation on is deleting someone different for the reasons that you do it. You know, if you delete 500 people for being black, does that make it worse than deleting 500 people because you just wanted them to move out of your area or something? You see what I'm saying? Like, I think that's an interesting debate topic. I think some people, rightfully so, will be on both sides. I think some people will say, well, if it's racially motivated, then that is worse because, you know, why are you, you know what I'm saying? Why is somebody being different so bad that would be justification for deleting them? Whereas somebody else, I think, would say it doesn't matter what your reasons for deleting somebody is. Deleting somebody is deleting somebody. And then it gets even deeper when you think into law of things like hate crimes, you know, because then it's like, hey, well, if somebody, you know, slapped you because you're gay or something, like, should they get more time than if they were to go and just slap a random person? I mean, the act of a slap is completely the same. You know, the physical strength they may have used may have been exactly the same. But the reasoning for that slap, the reasoning for those 5 fingers across the cheek may have been different. And what impact does that different make? That's the conversation right there that I think we're really having. And I think that that's really the moral issue that is really plaguing this debate right now and why they're having an issue here. And Candance doesn't want to acknowledge it. She doesn't want to acknowledge it. But hey, girl, you're going to have to acknowledge that's what a genocide is. We can't change the definitions. I love you, Candance, but we can't change the definitions of words. We just looked it up. You know?
Clear in how I feel about this issue. The Israeli government is not being careful in how they're dealing with this. I agree that the amount of death has been completely unacceptable. When I tweeted that was back in November. So we're talking way more lives that have been lost. And that tweet was about Brian Mast. So
I get it. Now, here's
I could
my
have
reason.
never imagined the amount of dead Palestinian children that I would see on my X feed since then.
It's horrific.
You know, it's heartbreaking to me as a mother. It's horrific to me that the media seems almost complicit.
Don't be like Henry, who still washes himself with dirty loofahs and raggy towels.
Yeah, y'all, I'm gonna get that YouTube no ads for y'all.
Body wash bundle.
In the dehumanization of Palestinians, and I will not be on that side, because at the end of the day, the hit pieces, the name calling, the anti-Semitism.
Avon, I'm getting into language. I was gonna tell you, I'm getting into some Andrew Wilson later today. Like, I might have to bust that right now, depending on what John's on.
That seems to be coming out of people means nothing. And I want to make sure everybody knows this, right? At the end of the day, you are going to have to account to God for the things that you allowed, for the things that you were complicit in, and for the things that you did not have enough courage to state.
Okay.
The amount of death of Palestinian children.
Let her talk. Let her talk.
Unacceptable.
Andrew Wilson.
Stop.
Yeah, I got Andrew Wilson lined up, man.
In my view, should not be given an invitation to Congress. I think it's unacceptable.
I agree.
Unacceptable.
I don't
and
think
to be clear, for whatever the reason,
shouldn't be leader
when
of
it comes to
Israel.
the topic of Israel, it does seem that journalists are fearful to critique Israel.
Well, I'm
now,
not
why
at all.
is that?
So,
because I would say, Piers, that you too, you seem a little fearful to critique Israel and to want to always seem that you're coming across a little bit understanding of everything they're doing. What is it that makes journalists, corporate journalists,
okay, let me respond.
fearful of saying,
wait, let her finish, bro.
Israel has done a ton of things that have been very wrong.
Yes, and I have said they're wrong. I think Netanyahu should go. I think half of that cabinet should go, because some of them have definitely been using genocidal language. I think a lot of what Israel's been doing in the last few weeks is completely unacceptable. But ultimately, I also, from the start of this conflict, believe that Israel not only had a right to defend itself after the terror attack on October the 7th, but a fundamental duty to its people. And here's where I'm just curious about your tweeting through this procedure, this
Candance
whole
Owens
war.
tweets.
Because on October the 7th, you didn't tweet anything. You didn't tweet anything on October the 8th. And October the 9th, you tweeted, so much world peace ever since we got the orange man out of office. So glad the adults are back in charge. A lot of people say, well, if you care this much about innocent people being killed,
looks like when an ad
why
runs.
didn't you say anything when 1,200 people
I'll skip ads
were
for y'all,
massacred
boys.
to death in the most brutal, barbaric manner in this
ads.
awful terror attack by Hamas, and nearly 7,000 more were wounded, some of them catastrophically and irreparably. Why did that not compel you to say anything?
Well, first and foremost, Israel's a foreign country, so typically I talk about topics that have to do with America. Secondly, you're only quoting my Twitter feed. I'm also on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram. I also had a daily podcast in which I did respond directly about what happened and called the events horrific. Multiple times, said what Hamas did was absolutely horrific. So you're using a snapshot of my Twitter feed where you're acknowledging that I didn't tweet for days to suggest that I didn't have anything to say about what had happened. Now, to be clear, I am consistent on all matters. I do not want America involved whatsoever in anything that is happening in Israel. I don't want my dollars sent over to Israel. We should not be supporting Israel. Obviously, Thomas Massey has done a lot of work showing how it doesn't even make economic sense that we have so much debt and yet we're sending money over to support Israel. And the biggest issue, by the way, that I have with Israel in talking about them being above reproach is the fact that they are supplying the arms to murder Christians, okay? In Armenia, the oldest Christian country in the world, and yet nobody talks about that. For whatever reason, it seems to be the
we learn
circumstance
something new every day,
when
boys.
Jewish people die in Israel, it's wall-to-wall
Shout out to
coverage.
Kim
But
K.
when Christians die all
Johnny?
over the
We
world,
live.
nobody talks about it. Everyone wants to correlate everything to World War II. Everyone wants to talk about Adolf Hitler, and rightfully so, he was a horrific person. But nobody wants to talk about Henryk Yagoda, right? Nobody wants to talk about the Bolsheviks. Nobody wants to talk about the Christian Holocaust. I am tired of the media, exhausted of the media not speaking about what is happening to Christians all around the world. And it is especially horrific, while at the exact same time that it is happening, the slaughter of Christians in Armenia, the arms being supplied by Israel, that the media turns the other way and says, oh, okay, but what about what's happening in Israel? So you know what I'm asking for? Actual equality. Okay? Because it seems like this is like a special category, the special relationship that we have. I'm a Christian first, okay? And so my concerns are going to be with what's happening to Christians all around the world, because it is us. We are the #1 most persecuted religion in the world. And all Christians watching this need to realize the time is now to start speaking up, because we have been silenced about the things that are happening to us for a very long time. And the media is very clearly not our friend. When there is wall-to-wall...
I mean, let's keep it a stat. Christianity is dead in the United States. Oh, I said it. But Christianity is deleted in the United States. We already know this. Did you guys actually know the separation between, religion and state wasn't even supposed to be like so that religion wasn't a part of the government? It was actually supposed to be so that separate states could choose which religion they would want to go with and how they would want to govern based on that religion. Just a thing, just a conservative point, that I'm throwing out there for you guys. Because as you guys know, like, our government now, like, could be anything but Christian. You guys don't even know the idea of marriage in itself is literally religious. Like, if you're a secular person, there's literally no I'm just getting too deep down into it. But realistically, like, I don't even know how to explain it, without going deep down the rabbit hole. But yeah, marriage is just completely a religious thing. It never had any type of secular, aspect to it at all. And it's funny now that, like, now we get into debates into things about marriage, which literally is secular, shouldn't even exist, but religion has to be out of government, but marriage is a part. It's dumb. It's dumb. it's contradictory, but hey,
coverage of
I kind of see what
Christians
you're
being
saying here at
killed
the end.
in Armenia, Christians being killed in Nigeria, and the treatment of Christians in America and all across the globe today. Then you ask me if I will use my platform and I will use my voice to speak about what's happening in Israel.
Okay, Candace, go ahead. I feel like Candace cooked up a little bit. Hey, shout out to everybody who popped in. You know what I'm saying? We still on it right now. So let me know if there's anything you guys are trying to watch right now while I'm still on here. Shout out to Vaughn for popping in. I'm gonna definitely pick in my debate topics. I'm gonna send so many emails out this week, bro. Just and try and get in some debates. I'm gonna have to do some research because I ain't the smartest guy, guys. I'm not the smartest guy, but I like to think that I have this thing called common sense, and I like to think if you have common sense, then you'll be alright. You'll be alright. Certain things make sense, certain things don't. But I think I do have a Andrew Wilson debate that I will pop out real quick for you guys. I'm actually possibly gonna pop back in later today. I'm chopping up the lives, just so you guys know. I've been chopping them up because they pop in as videos later. But really, I would love to stay on live with you guys for, 4 hours and just go through a bunch of topics. But YouTube kind of punishing me for that. But hey, we got 3 people watching. Let's run it. That's when you run it. But yeah, Andrew Wilson, another TikTok invasion. If y'all know about the TikTok invasions, Andrew Wilson, I'm about to put y'all on game. I already know Trayvon knows. Hey, Johnny, you want to say hey to the chat? We about to run one more video real quick.
Address one at a time.
Let's see. Say what's up to the
What
chat,
it do,
bro.
chat? What it do?
Yes, sir. We got this Andrew Wilson. So here's the introduction. So if you guys don't know Andrew Wilson, he is a kind of hardcore Christian, far right, / red pill debater. He's always on the Whatever podcast. I really liked him because he's very analytical. He's on it, and he's a no BS kind of guy, a no bullshit kind of guy. I'm gonna say it. You know what I mean? So he's out here. I have no idea what this is going to be about, but it sounds like it says Andrew Wilson runs headlong into a swarm of bloodthirsty leftists on TikTok, y'all. So, hey, give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna grab a quick shot before we hit this debate. Hey, Johnny, do whatever you need to do, bro. I'm gonna just hit this live real quick,
Yeah, bro.
Yes. Let's see. But yeah, let me show you guys. If you guys haven't heard of Andrew Wilson, get on game.
If that was okay.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah. So, I guess we'll start with diversity. Why is that an ought, though? That's just kind of question begging. You're saying, so here's the reasons. Well, hang on. Can I finish?
Well, you're the one that's question begging because you're saying, why ought we do it?
No. You say we ought to.
Yeah, I'm saying it should be taught in schools, and I just gave you 3 reasons, and you're saying that I'm question begging when you're the one that's asking.
No, you are. I can explain how. If you say we ought, the burden's on you.
Presupposing.
No, the burden's on you if you say we ought to do something to demonstrate we ought to.
Sure, and I just gave you.
You gave me your reasons, but why ought we follow those reasons?
Sure. Why do we have? Why is diversity important?
That's asking me a question, not giving me a should. No,
Okay,
so
sure.
I'm not here to give you your argument.
I gotta
I'm
hit
here to
water
listen
with
to
it,
your
boys.
argument.
I'm a weakling.
Okay, sure. Because diversity helps individuals empathize. There we go. Empathize with different experiences that they may encounter with different kinds of people that they'll encounter within the world.
Yeah, but why is the empathy itself important? Why is that an ought? This just seems like it's circular.
Important? Why is empathy important?
Yeah, why is it an ought that we should follow to teach people to be empathetic?
If I see a poor man, why ought I give him money? I don't have to. Why ought I? I get him.
Pathetic, and the way that we do that is through teaching LGBTQ.
Why should we teach? Because queer people exist, and their experiences deserve to be heard.
Yeah, but that's just an assertion. That's not really telling me why. It's just asserting that it's true.
And he's telling you why. What are you talking about?
No, it's not. I'll explain. For instance, if I were to say,
I don't even have to.
You don't want to let me respond?
I'm asking you a question.
I know, but I'm trying to respond to one that was asked.
About anyone but yourself.
Sure.
Can you tell me one person you care about other than yourself?
His
Yeah.
wife.
Yeah, sure.
I'm not talking about someone you married. I'm talking about, like, any of your friends. Do you care about any of your friends?
Sure.
Do you suddenly stop caring about them once they say they're gay or something?
I think I would create some type of space between us immediately, yeah.
Oh.
So then
Thank you
wouldn't
for
care
telling
about
on
it.
yourself.
Well, I don't understand. Telling what? The truth? Why is that upsetting?
No, that you're a piece of shit.
Well, I'm sorry.
That's not how you debate.
Why would that be problematic? Can you tell me why that's
Let
a
me break
problem?
this down. We already seeing how this is kind of going. You guys seeing how this is going? Oh, yeah, Vaughn, pull up. But you guys see how this is going? Essentially, they're coming from this kind of moralist standpoint of if you don't give somebody something that they want, then you don't care about them. Sometimes you gotta not give people things if you do care about them. For instance, if you have a child and your child, let's say your child refuses to work or something, your child refuses to work and you keep giving him money all the time. Somebody like this would say you ought to give them money because it's your child, even though the best thing to do for your child may be to not give them money because then they may go out and do things productively on their own. You know what I'm saying? Would that be saying that you don't care about them, or like they said he's an asshole because of that? No, it's bad argumentation.
Problem for me to do other than you just don't like it.
What if they try to make a move on him?
Well, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not even concerned about that. I'm saying that where's the empathy for my moral oughts? So if I have a moral prism,
Well, your moral oughts are bigoted.
Well, hang on. Just let me finish. Hang on. I just let all of you guys finish. Let me finish. If my moral system says this is not moral inside of the framework that I follow, where's the empathy for me from my friend?
Well, have you ever heard of the...
No. I answered my question now, like I just answered yours.
No, I'm going to
No,
answer
you're not going to
your
answer my question.
quick.
Okay.
The paradox of tolerance. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, I think it's hilarious, yeah.
So you think you should just allow anything to happen?
Well, no, that's not what I said. I said I thought the paradox was hilarious. Well, no.
The paradox of tolerance states that you should not be tolerant of intolerance.
Which is intolerant.
I'm getting confused.
That's the point of the paradox.
Right.
Andrew. Hey,
that's why I find it amusing.
No, Andrew, stop talking. Right. You're talking
Andrew,
about
are you just gonna be a
moral
contrarian?
oughts. You're talking about moral oughts, right?
Well, I'm not being a contrarian. I have a different opinion.
Well, you are being a contrarian.
No, I have a
you really
different opinion. I don't agree with you. I'm supposed to be contrary because I don't agree.
He's a fake Phil, bro. That's the problem.
Yeah,
you're talking about moral oughts.
They just want him to agree with them simply because they think they're right. And that's not how it works. That's what we got to introduce in 2024. If you're wrong, you got to get stepped on nowadays. We done did this for 15 years, letting everybody speak their piece and not get stepped on. And now the world is burning. Now the world is burning, y'all. Y'all's groceries is up in the roof. And it's because of these reasons. You know what I'm saying? It's because of this type of mindset. We gotta shut down the BS, y'all. We gotta shut it down.
So the moral.
No, they're talking about moral oughts, not
no,
me.
You brought it up.
Yeah, what does should mean?
It's an ought again.
Yeah,
Andrew,
okay. Well, then they're talking about oughts.
I'm smarter than you.
Well, you don't sound like you're very smart.
Stop talking.
Ah,
the moral ought is a harm reduction, right?
you stop talking.
No,
you stop talking.
The moral ought is a harm reduction.
Stop muting my mic like a douchebag.
The moral ought.
Stop
is a
muting me.
harm
You're
reduction,
spurging. You're spurging. You're spurging.
Andrew, you're 40
Yeah, he's a white
bro.
supremacist, white nationalist.
I'm a
You should
what?
Probably, you're
What?
a white supremacist
Prove it.
and a white
Sorry,
nationalist.
man. I don't watch so many videos of Andrew. This man is in no way a white supremacist in any way. It's like, man, when people just start losing debates or they have nothing actual to say of any substance, just start throwing around anything. You guys, hey, if anybody's watching this, let me know how I can get into some of these TikTok spaces. I want to say my piece because I'm tired of people coming around talking like this and not getting stepped on. Like,
Prove
Jeez.
it.
You have a
Prove it.
podcast. We
Yeah.
have a podcast, Andrew.
Prove.
Oh, if you have a podcast, you're a white
Prove it.
supremacist, guys.
Prove it.
I guess I'm a black supremacist.
Everything you say
Andrew,
is
you're
white
40.
nationalist.
Are you going to give me the
What
proof?
you say
Proof?
is white nationalist.
Prove it.
You speaking is the proof.
Oh, okay. Well, you're a kid diddler. I can just make assertions then, just like you. You're a kid diddler.
No, you have admitted
kid
to
diddler
being
now.
a white nationalist.
Never. It's never happened. You just made
he's
that
nasty.
up.
Get him
Show
out of
the
here.
proof.
God. Okay, fine.
Yeah, you made it up.
Yeah.
You
No,
lied.
stop.
Bring
Stop.
some
Andrew,
evidence.
Are we going to have a conversation, or are you going to just be weird?
Yeah, I'd love to have a convo, but don't make ridiculous claims.
Harm reduction.
The only person not having the conversation is this guy. Like, let's keep the
Yeah,
stack.
I understand that that's the principle.
Moral ought is a harm reduction.
Yeah,
Great.
that's your principle for a moral ought is harm reduction. I understand that, but I don't agree with that principle of harm reduction.
What harm calculus have you done?
argument here?
What harm calculus have you done?
I'm sorry, harm like the hedonic calculus?
Yeah, what harm calculus?
Nobody can calculate harm that way. It's not even possible. That's why I have a problem with the principle.
Great. So you're saying that harm cannot be known. You cannot know if you're doing harm.
Yeah, well, it depends on what you're considering harm to be. So if we start with this presupposition that harm bad, then you have a subjective metric for what harm is, and so does Guy B. So how do I make the determination as to what harm is? Right.
Hang on. Everything is subjective.
Yeah, I understand from your viewpoint it is.
So
Yeah.
I'm not claiming that the harm reduction is an objective claim. I'm not even claiming that a harm calculus can be objective, because nothing is objective.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that there is provable harm reduction when teaching LGBTQ issues to younger people.
Okay, so let's go with that. I'm willing to grant that that could be true. My question, though, becomes then, what about the harm reduction to the people who don't want it anywhere around them? Why do they not matter? Why do we only go with your version of what reduces
Because they
harm
aren't
for
the
this
ones
group?
causing harm.
Let me finish the question.
No.
No, of course not. Okay.
When I already know the question, I'm going to say the answer before you finish
Really
it.
funny how I let all of you talk.
Wait, I just got here. So we have to take into consideration of their position. So,
By the way, I'm going to just say my piece on that real quick. Harm reduction, since they want to talk about it, in a society, you're going to have to move the laws on what's going to do what. It's on what's going to reduce the harm for the most amount of people. There's always going to be the anomaly. There's always going to be the person who gets the short arm, or what is it, the short end of the stick. And the deal, that's why the laws have to apply to the majority. A law can never apply to everyone. You know what I'm saying? For instance, abortion, you're always going to deal with grape cases, and stuff like that. Whereas most people would agree, of course, if somebody gets raped, then if they want to have an abortion, they should be able to, most people are going to agree with that. But those same people may differ if the person just decided to have sex themselves and they made the decision to do it, and now they don't want to deal with the consequences. Two completely different things.
this is going to be problematic in some ways because we don't actually know how they're going to feel on the matter. So I would just basically ask you, what is your objection?
Yeah, so my objection would be that you have different viewpoints which do not accept LGBTQ as being moral. And I think that if you kind of are forcing this type of acceptance, or you're trying to push them towards that kind of acceptance, that actually creates a different type of harm. And I can give you a good example in real time. So I believe that Christians, for instance, when you're talking about the T issue, and you ask them to use different gender forms, that from their perspective, you're asking them to lie. And I think that would cause them great harm.
True.
Hang on,
Andrew.
You're not even going to let me finish, of course. Go ahead.
No, because I have something to say. Right?
Of course, okay. Of course. Even though I was almost done.
No, not really. You never stop speaking. Andrew, was Jesus Jewish?
Yeah.
Great. How many genders are in the Talmud?
Which debate?
I'm sorry, what?
Which debate? The Talmud is a book of rabbinic debates. Which debate are you referring to?
How many genders are referred to in the Talmud?
It depends on the debate.
It doesn't matter. The entirety of it.
It depends on the debate. There's no consensus on this within the Talmud.
Yes, there is.
Okay, well then show it to me. Show me the consensus in the Talmud.
Yeah, great. Jewish scholars have always stated that there is at least 8 genders or 6, depending on how you count.
No, they haven't.
So yes, they have.
I don't know anything about that.
As a
It sounds
practicing
wild,
rabbi,
but...
Jesus himself would have preached that there are more than 2 genders.
No, he not only.
Bro, what? They said Jesus himself. Let's take a second here. They said Jesus himself would have acknowledged that there are 8 genders. Who's co-signing that?
Did he not preach that? But on top of that, what you're talking about, the Talmud itself, is a grouping of rabbinic debates which happened over hundreds and hundreds of years. And the thing about Noahide laws is that they're constantly and ever-changing based on the presuppositions of the nature of God. So no, there's not a fixed set of genders. It's still argued about to this day.
Right, but are there more than 2 in the Talmud?
No. The Orthodox Jews don't believe so. Orthodox Jews don't believe so, and they follow the Talmud.
Okay, so we have to go by what you think Jesus taught from the Talmud. That's what we have to go on.
Okay, so what if some of these Talmudic debates that you're referencing happened after Jesus Christ's life?
Fine, he was still Jewish.
Okay, but that would defeat that would defeat your argument, though, that he would have to have been preaching that, right?
He would still be Jewish.
What would that have to?
Hey, I guess all Jewish people think the same and preach the same things. Like, I don't... like, what kind of argument is this? This is let me at them like them TikTok people.
To do with anything. What if this was not established until AD in the Talmud?
Again, he would still be Jewish. He still would have to follow those laws after they changed.
Yeah, but they're not laws.
You said they were debates.
That's the problem. Again, like you don't really have an understanding of how the Noahide law works within the Jewish tradition.
No, again, I know more than you. Again,
if you know more than me, then how come you don't know that there is no firm affixed set under Jewish law of gender? There isn't. The Orthodox Jews believe there's only 2 genders, male, female. That's it.
Okay.
Why?
So, wait.
He said why.
Let me continue back my conversation with Andrew. So can you reiterate your position again?
Yeah, so I was looking at this from the harm reductionist principle. So if the harm reductionist principle is what we're after, then I would contend that there are a bunch of people out there who are Christians, for instance, or other religions, where LGBTQ ideology, for instance, let's take T, for instance, here, and the gender pronouns. If they feel compelled to do that, then what you're asking them to do from their perspective is lie. How does that reduce harm and not increase harm in them?
Wait, how does it make harm?
Hello. Hold on a second. I think I got this. So first and foremost, I think you have to establish what ideology means, or at least give a definition. So do you have one?
Yeah, like just a set of beliefs in which you follow.
Right. So, and then you said gender pronouns. You do know that everyone uses them colloquially in the third person sense, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so it's not necessarily as you are suspecting it to be, not an ideology based on like the definition or like the
mic is kind of buns
description you gave.
No, I think it would follow. So you would agree that there has been a change over the last 30 years in which pronouns are now used in the commons versus which are not, right? So that's definitely an ideology which is being followed because it's a person's set of beliefs. It's a person's set of beliefs why they want to be called A, B, or C, right?
No, which one is new?
Those are called. Wait, hold on. So this is going to be like being desired and like to be gendered in this specific way. I don't really think that's a quote unquote ideology. It's not stemming from a socio and political belief systems. So this is going to be like an inaccurate description.
Why would it be inaccurate?
Just based on I just explained it to you. So
yeah, but that doesn't. I don't think that argument follows though, because if you were to ask a person 30 years ago to call another person they, them, in the personal context, they wouldn't do it. They'd say, I'm going over to their house. That's true. But they wouldn't go over and they would say he. They wouldn't say they. That's not what they would say.
Wait, stop.
Mhm.
That depends on the context or who the person is in question. So in order to form a conclusion, you have to take into consideration of who the person is going to be in reference to. If you're talking about the usage of they them, it can also just be applied to similar usages as well. It doesn't just mean multiple people.
No, again, when I actually just made that.
They and them does not mean multiple people, guys. It does not mean multiple people. You can be multiple people, you know? Or I guess you can't be multiple. You can be one person that is called multiple people. I wonder if there's anything that you can gain from that, from being multiple people, if you got to stand in line or something like that. Or what would be an example where having yourself but also having another form? I feel like there would be some benefit that you could give yourself to society if you were able to somehow make yourself into two people. You know what I'm saying? For instance, on a Jordan release, and there's there's one ticket per person, and you're like, hey, yo, I'm a they them. That's what I would hit them with. I'd be like, yo, I need those Jordan 4s. I'm really a they them. It's I identify as 4. I want 4 tickets, good sir. Thank you.
I'm saying that people's personal references to other people generally went around Mr., Mrs., he and she in a personal context, not usually they or them. And if they did, it definitely wasn't to assign it to a gender.
Appeal to tradition.
No, I'm not appealing to tradition. I'm talking about ideology now, which is tradition.
Hang on one second.
They don't know what to say.
Hold on 1 second.
Sure.
Andrew, do you have a YouTube channel called The Crucible?
I do.
Are you streaming right now?
Yeah. Is that a problem?
Yeah.
Why?
Because you're a white.
You're doing this.
Wait, hold on. Yeah, because you just be going against everyone else's wishes, and you're not given the informed consent that you be streaming.
Yeah, no, wait. This is fair use. This is public content. I don't need informed consent. That's crazy.
Technically from us, because if you're publishing,
they don't want any more of this.
Yeah, it's fair use. You're on a public forum. Why shouldn't I be able to stream it?
Actually, due to TOS of TikTok, you can't be streaming on a separate platform.
That's not true.
It was.
Not only is it not true, but you're on a public platform. I'm on a public platform. It's totally fair use. You're streaming publicly. There's no reason why I shouldn't also be able to stream publicly. That would make no sense.
You know that if you're making profit off of people, they can civilly sue you for having their image in their likeness.
No, they can't sue you for fair use.
They can't.
It just depends on the platform.
This site has
Right now is a good time to say that this stream is, fair use. All of the content and everything that I am using in this outside of myself is obviously not me. It's Andrew and Candace and these other people debating, you know what I'm saying? All the credits and everything goes to them. But I am able to bring this great and amazing content to you through the fair use policy. I just thought that would be a good time to say it. Good time to throw it in there. And YouTube does like when you throw that in there.
There's a TOS that says that you can't be streaming from other platforms.
No, it doesn't.
And you should know that.
You can multi-stream to multiple sites while you're on TikTok. What are you talking about?
That's not true.
It is true. I do it all the time. They gave me a stream key for a reason.
PC doesn't even allow for that.
Hello.
They have a TikTok. TikTok has a separate live studio function. They don't even allow for that. So you're just straight up lying.
No, you can stream to TikTok and multiple platforms at the same time. That's why they give you a stream key so that you can do that.
Anyway,
not with the current live studio. No.
Yes, with the current live studio. Yes.
You guys, can
All right, guys. Shout out to everybody that popped in. I just wanted to hit that. got this man sleep down there or something like that. But yeah, just wanted to like pop in. Definitely wanted to show you guys that extra Andrew Wilson. Just kind of went with the stream. You know, I'm going with the vibes. I'm doing what you guys are on. You know, and I had a good time. You know, shout out to Trayvon for popping in. Great guy, great guy. Check out his content too. I think on here it's maybe like Sad Boy. Hey, what's his YouTube? Sad Boy. I'll find it. There we go. There's one of them, but he has multiple channels. But yeah, he's got a bunch of good stuff going on. Check him out. Hey guys, we're gonna be streaming almost, you know, Monday through Friday about 5 o'clock for a few hours. Just depends on it. I'm gonna be popping in and out. You guys keep popping in on me like this. We'll make the stuff longer. You know, we'll keep it going. And thank you guys, everybody, for showing love and hitting that like button and everything like that. I love y'all, and I hope y'all love me too. Y'all have a great day.